Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Raymond Moore Speaks on Wise Talk Radio. Today, I want to talk about something that I believe is going to be of value to you. I believe it's something that will bless you. It's a topic I call purpose and vision. So if you're listening to this broadcast, what I'd like for you to do is to click the like button and click the share button. Let your friends know that we're on Facebook right now. We're broadcasting live, and this would be a good thing for friends and family and even associates to be involved in. So when you think about purpose and vision, just about every person in history who was a success had this unique characteristic about them. It's something that you cannot ignore. It is something that you can't bypass. It is something that you can't get to the end of your goal or the thing that you set out to accomplish and not have this unique feature. What it is really is a personal vision, and I want to talk about that for a little bit. See, a personal vision comes from a glimpse of your destiny. Think about that for a second. Where you are right now, you're looking, you're thinking, you're reasoning, and you get a glimpse of where you can be from where you are. Now, what is purpose? Purpose is the original intent for your creation. That is the actual reason why God created you. He created you for a specific purpose. This is the reason why you are unique. This is the reason why you're different from everyone else. See, no one else can do what God created you to do. No one else can do that. And so that is what makes you unique. That's what makes you important. And that's what makes you special. Now, I want you to picture this. It's like a man who loved to tinker with stuff. He's an inventor. And so one day he made a hammer. And as he made this hammer, a friend came up and a friend asked him, "So what's the name of that thing that you made?" And he says, "Well, I really don't know what it is. I didn't give it a name." And he says, "Well, what are you going to use it for?" He said, I haven't really decided what I plan to use it for. Not yet. Now, listening to that little analogy, it seems a little ridiculous, right? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense that someone would make a hammer, not know that it's a hammer, and not even know why he was making it in the first place. So, who do you know then who makes something and not have a name for it or have a purpose for the thing? Likewise, ladies and gentlemen, when you think about it, your creator had in mind a purpose when he made you. See, if you want to know why you're here, ask your creator. Don't try to figure it out on your own. Because if you try to figure it on your own, it tends to lead to disaster. Sometimes it leads to a lot of disappointment. You may be thinking that you can't really make it and you can't really get to where you want to get to because you don't even have you don't have a clue where you're trying to go. Now, I promise you, if you decide that you will follow these programs that I'm teaching on purpose, it will help you not to only figure out what your purpose is, but it will help you to get there. So the idea here is that you will make your own history and that you will leave a legacy. So while you're thinking, I can't make anything, I can't do anything, I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. Yes, you can make something. You can make something very important, something very lasting. And it's the legacy that you will leave if you decide that you're not going to sit around and hope that something will fall into your lap. Let me put it another way. There are some things that God created you to do. And when you get a glimpse of those things, that is called vision, ladies and gentlemen. What God created you to do is called His purpose for you. And when you see and identify with that purpose, then it translates to vision. I hope you got that. See, an easy way to remember this is to understand the difference between vision or the difference between mission versus your vision. mission and vision. Now, God created you and he gave you a mission. That is your purpose. Now, when you take hold of that mission and you internalize it, it becomes your vision. Your mission then, or your purpose, is described in states that, or it states that you should do, while your vision outlines what you will be at a given point in the future. Your mission or your purpose describes or state what you should do, while on the other hand, your vision outlines where you want to go or where you should be at a given point in your future. Now, vision then, ladies and gentlemen, vision is the ability to get a glimpse of your destination from your current position. Vision is your reason for living. You see, there are people out there who've had a vision of their future, and the reality, it scares them. And this may be you. It may be describing you. And if it does, then there's a good chance this vision is from God. Here's the thing. When you get a peek at the vision for your life, it will always be bigger than what you imagined. And this is what scares people. In many cases, your vision is going to intimidate you because of its size. Your vision will require you to employ the expertise. It's going to require that you employ the experience and the help of others to make it happen, because it's so much bigger than you. And you must move, as you move forward, you have to tell yourself, start. That's what is important. Just start. Don't worry about the size of it. Don't focus on the size of your vision. Just start. Because when you start, you will realize that the start itself will lead you to the next step. And the next step will lead you to the next step. And so you get off of it and get on with it. Here's the thing. Hallucination is the result of vision without action. How many people you know out there, I got a dream, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do that thing, and 10 years from now, they're still talking about what they're going to do. They're still talking about how it's going to happen for them. How often have you heard me say on this broadcast that there are people who've started something or they planned something only to find out later on that someone had a similar idea, but that person took action, and that person just jumped forward and moved ahead with it, and next thing you know, your invention, your idea was successful, but in somebody else's corner, someone else's camp. They capitalized on what you were thinking about. You see, Helen Keller once said that the most pathetic person in the world is a person who has sight but no vision. Does that describe you? Are you the person who's seen things that should be done, seen how things can be done, always correcting someone about how they are not doing it the right way, but you yourself, you haven't gone out and you haven't tried? If that describes you, then you need to get off of it. You need to decide that today's the day that I'm going to start working in a manner that's going to not only benefit me, but benefit society. Because a truly successful individual is someone who leaves a legacy for their children's children, but in addition to that, you benefited society. You did something that society says we're willing to pay for this product or service that you've brought into the marketplace. I'm going to encourage you to do this. Don't let others derail you from reaching your destination. You know, some people are going to tell you, well, what you're trying to do is too big. Maybe you need to start small and work your way up. You know, some people are going to tell you, hey, you're biting off more than you can chew. You know, you need to slow down a little bit. Many people have tried the same thing and they've failed. I'm sure you've heard that statement before. Again, sometimes you'll hear friends and family say, hey, you're going to be sorry. You need to think this through. You're moving too fast. You know, you need to go talk to the experts, and that's not for you. And no one around here's ever done that. Can I just give you my 2 cents on this one? Stop listening to those people. Don't listen to those people when it comes to your dreams, your visions. Don't listen to them. See, This is simply their fears, their inadequacies that are surfacing. See, don't listen to them, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a young person listening to this and you have a dream and a goal of being something better than what your generations were before you, better than your parents, don't let people at school tell you that you're being a nerd. Don't let anyone tell you that you're being a teacher's pet. Do your best. Do everything that is in your power to do. Don't sit back. Don't take it easy. Don't relax. Now is not the time to relax. You see, here's the thing. The Bible says that God worked for 6 days. He was working, he was producing for 6 days. But on the seventh day, he rested. You know what's happened with a lot of people? They're resting every day. They rest Monday, they rest Tuesday, they rest Wednesday, right up to Saturday, and they can't wait for the weekend to come so they could rest. My question to you, what have you produced? What have you produced that gives you the right to rest? Because rest is only for those who have produced something of value. If you haven't produced anything of value, you haven't earned the right to rest. So my advice to you is go out, get it done. You see, if your dreams were too small and insignificant, no one would bother you. That's a reality. That's a fact. The only people who would probably get on your nerves are your parents, because they tell you you have potential. You have a bigger potential and you can do more. But here's the thing, when you start talking to friends and family and co-workers and people who are influencers in your life, they're the ones who would say, hey, they will leave you alone because your dreams are small. Why is this? Think about that for a second. Why would they leave you alone with your small dreams and your small thinking? Because it doesn't pose a threat to them. Your success in your little dreams and your little accomplishments won't make them look bad, ladies and gentlemen. Your success in a little matter will cause other people to reason that, well, you're successful, but you're still living in the same rundown neighborhood that they're living in. You still drive the same old beat up car, and a matter of fact, you just asked them for a jump start. So here you are telling them about this dream that you have and this vision and this business that you're going to do, and your accomplishment was so small, they're laughing at you because they had to just give you some money to go buy gas because you're still broke. So in their minds, you're not going anywhere, just as they're not going anywhere. So they don't see you as a threat. See, as long as you stay in your place, many people around you, they'll be content and they won't give you any flack, if you understand what I'm saying. They'll just leave you alone because you are still in your place and you're not showing them up. But catch this. When your dream is from God, and when you catch a hold of that dream, even if you have trouble believing it at first because it's so big, it's at that point that people will start to believe that you're crazy when you share that dream with them. You see, if the dream is from God, you can be certain that you're going to be rejected when you share it with some people, not everyone, but when you share it with some people, you will be rejected because you're stepping outside of the limits of their expectations for you. They might even start hating on you because of your dreams. See, I want to share something with you. During my college years, I used to hang out with a friend of mine, and my friend was not in college, but he worked at a company close by to where I went to school. And my friend was always inviting me out to the clubs on weeknights. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we used to go to the clubs on weeknights as well as weekends. But here's the thing. I wasn't much of a drinker. Actually, I didn't even drink. And I was a terrible dancer. And if anyone knows my niece Makara, you'll know what a terrible dancer is. We're just horrible when it comes to dancing. So here I am hanging out at the club weeknights instead of being home studying. And I don't drink, and it just never worked out for me. And so this reflected on my grades. Midterm. Now this is my first year in college. Midterm came around, did all my midterms and failed everything flat flat out failed everything. One teacher, my psychology teacher, professor, pulled me aside and he said, "Ray, what's going on? You do well in class, you participate, so why is it that it's not reflecting in your grades?" Needless to say, it was hard to lie to a psychology professor, because every excuse I gave him, he came up with a reason why I was making an excuse. And I knew I was making excuses. Why? Because I was hanging out with a friend, partying, when I should be home studying. So what I did, I made a decision. Enough is enough. Either I'm going to party and hang out, or I'm going to do what I need to do in school. I needed to simply focus on my schoolwork. And that's what I did. When, you see, I told my friend, thinking that my friend would understand. Instead, what I got was the cold shoulder. And from there, the communication got less and less until we just lost touch with each other. Now, even in my first year in college, I started looking ahead towards graduation. And I started thinking about what it would feel like to graduate, even though it was so far away. It was so distant. I could barely imagine it. I tried envisioning myself walking across that stage, getting my degree, and saying, "Yep, I finished. I got it done. Good job." But it was so far away. But I kept that in my mind. What I didn't do, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't allow someone I considered to be a friend to derail me from what I'd set out to accomplish. For a while, I was off the path, but I got back on the path and decided that this is what I'm going to do. I'm staying on this path. I'm encouraging you do the same thing. I'm encouraging you stay on the path. Because if you don't stay on the path, you're going to end up in places that you never planned on being. You're going to end up in places doing things that you never thought you would do. I was watching a program on TV recently where they were talking about people who were just abusing drugs in a particular area. And so the news media was broadcasting this, and as it was being broadcasted, someone saw an individual who was a relative of theirs sitting on the corner, just high. And so they contacted the news station, and they did a piece on it. And they showed a picture of this young man who was at a wedding 2 years earlier. Handsome guy, tall, well-built. And when you saw the picture of that man on a street corner, smoking weed, doing drugs, you wouldn't believe that was the same person 2 years earlier. Because he had moved off the track and decided that the path where he was going, for whatever reason, wasn't the right path. So I'm telling you, see, when you walk a yard with the devil, he's going to expect that you're going to go 10 miles with him. And maybe you're thinking, no, I'm not going to go 10 miles. I'm only going to go a yard. Because this is fun right now. This is exciting. What's wrong with just being relaxed and having a little fun every now and then? No big deal. But before you know it, you're going down a path that you didn't bargain for. You're receiving returns on your investment that you never planned on receiving. And you don't want these things, but now you have them and you can't do anything about it. Ladies and gentlemen, when you lose control of your ability to think, when you lose control of your ability to make decisions, it is scary. So stay on the path. So here's my question to you. Who are you allowing to impose their dreams, their goals on you? Who are you allowing to impose their fears and their little dreams on you? Who have you given controls of the reins of your life to tie you up in conversations of mediocrity and failure? Ask yourself these questions. Because if you don't, someone's doing it, and you may be derailed, and you're not even thinking that you're being derailed. You have to be honest and straight up with yourself and ask yourself those questions. Who have you handed over control of your future and your destiny to? Ask yourself that question. Who's in control of your life? You? Someone else? Your boss? Your spouse? Your girlfriend? Your boyfriend? Your children? Who's in control of you? Here's what I see sometimes, and sometimes I want to deviate for a little bit. I see this on cars, bumper sticker that says, "Jesus is my co-pilot." And sometimes people think that's actually a really good thing. Nice thing to say. But what you're really saying in that scenario is, I am in charge. No one else is in charge. Here's a sad thing. Some people are in charge of their lives and they have no clue where they're going. They have no clue, ladies and gentlemen, where they're going. So if you're at a point where you need help, remember at the start of the program, I said, your dream may be so big, you need to employ the experience, the help of others in order to get what you're going, because it's big. So be smart enough to know that something big will require the help of others. So you should know this, that many times what some people will do is they will corral you into a static location. And so while you're there, they'll use their words to tell you how you can't do this and why you shouldn't do this, and the time is wrong, the economy's not in the right place, and so you should hold off. And so while you're corralled and you're backed up into this corner and you're doing nothing, you're going nowhere fast, they're out diligently chasing their dreams. They're out diligently chasing their goals. I'm going to tell you right now, you need to break out of that mold. See, it is your right and your responsibility to go after what God has placed in you. Did it ever occur to you that some of the people you associate with, think about this for a second, they have such low expectations of you that when you decide to break out of that mold, you get resistance from them? That is really sad. Think about it for a second. Some people around you will expect you to do nothing. They will expect that where you are is where you're going to stay. You'll never move out of it. You're not going anywhere. I am going to encourage you. I'm encouraging you today. Break out of that mold. Stop associating with people who don't believe in you. Stop associating with people who only believe the negative and the bad about you. I was talking with someone yesterday, and we're talking on the phone, and they said, "Oh, here comes so and so." I don't remember what the name of the person is, but they assumed that I knew that person, and immediately that individual just started saying some bad things about my friend, and they were laughing and joking. So here's my point. Don't allow people to come around you and say bad things about you. You hear people say, "Oh, here comes the devil," and you start laughing. Don't accept nonsense like that. You hear people say, "Oh man, I just think you're not going to be good at what you're doing right now. I just think you're just going to fail at this thing." And sometimes you believe them, and sometimes you agree with them. Stop agreeing with people about the negative they say about you. See, the creative and the diligent person will always break out of the mold that others made for them. And I want you to do that. It may not be easy at first. It may not be easy to break away from the opinion of others. It may not be easy for you to break away from, because here's the thing. You need their approval so much, and you don't realize that you've lived for their approval. So when they stop approving of you, you feel like something is missing. Break away from that, ladies and gentlemen. For years, I was that person. For years, I was that person, always looking for approval from a relative of mine, always expecting that this individual would approve of me. When I went to college, I expected her approval. Never got it. When I got a job while I was in college, as an intern at IBM, never got it. When I got my first job on Wall Street, I was expecting that approval, never got it. Graduated from college, never got the approval. And you can live your whole life trying to get one person or a group of people to approve of you, and they never do. And what if they don't? You feel like you're a nobody. You feel like you haven't accomplished. in the meantime, the rest of the world is saying, hey, you're doing a great job. Things are awesome. Things are wonderful. But you have just put yourself in a box expecting that if this one individual does not approve of you, then you can't move forward. Stop believing that. I'm telling you today, stop believing that. You have to break away from that. That's a control mechanism that people have instilled in your life, and you need to break away from it. Because if you don't, you will always be controlled by that individual or by that group. You see, their resistance to you is actually a good sign when you decide that you're going to break out of the mold. See, the more resistance you get from people when you're chasing your dreams and your goals is the more proof that you're moving in the right direction, because it makes them uncomfortable, ladies and gentlemen. It makes them uncomfortable. They don't like change even when it happens in you. And you should think about that statement for a second, and you should watch the response. You should watch what people are doing around you when you decide to change, when you decide to move forward. Watch their responses, because you will know if they're for you or they're against you. Let me put it another way. If you don't know your purpose in life, your success will be limited. And even if you succeed in a particular area of your life, the sense of accomplishment won't be the same as if you succeeded in your specific purpose. Let me give you an example. In the late 80s, my wife worked with an elderly gentleman who was very successful during the big band era back in the mid 40s. And as she spent time with him, she said one day when he was close to the end of his life, he was fairly ill and he was weak. And one day he said to her, Maxine, is this it? Is this all there is to life? What's going to happen next? Now, keep in mind, this individual was very successful in his own right. Money was not an issue for him, had a beautiful home, lived a wonderful life, told her about all the places he traveled, all the entertainers he met and people he associated with. But here's the thing. He's now at the end of his life and he's asking her, is this it? Is this all there is to it? That's a person who lived a life that was not fulfilled. That was a person who had lots of material success. That's an individual who enjoyed a lot of the pleasures of life, but never really found his real purpose. And so at the end of his life was disappointment, was fear, anxiety, uncertainty, because all he could think about was, is this it? Is this all there is to life? So I'm asking you the same thing right now. Is this it? Is this all there is to your life? Is there more to your life? Or are you just going to settle for where you are? Settle for what's going on and feel that this is it? Because I promise you, if you decide to break out of the mold, there's a whole lot more out there for you. You don't need to sit back and wait and wonder and ponder. Get up, move forward. See, your purpose, ladies and gentlemen, will make obsolete everyone else's opinions of you, especially those negative opinions. Their viewpoints, their perspective of you will become outdated. You see, they'll be the first ones. Have you ever seen this? The moment you succeed, the naysayers are the first ones to come up and say, we always believed in you. We knew you were going to succeed. Same people who told you you weren't going to succeed to begin with. So don't listen to them. Listen to people who have succeeded in the area that you want to succeed. Associate with people who are on the journey ahead of you, going where you want to go. See, having vision gives you a destination. Vision will keep you on the right track, as I said earlier. If you start going off course, your vision will get dim and you will know it, especially if your vision is clearly defined and you focus on it often. You're going to have indicators that are going to tell you you're off track and you need to get back on track. See, when you combine your vision with your purpose and you take action, you become unstoppable. That's when people say, oh man, that's a motivated individual. That's a person with purpose right there. You will know who to associate with. You will know where to go. You will know when to go. You'll know who to go with and who not to go with. See, when there is synergy between your purpose and your vision, you greatly reduce the ability of other people to influence and manipulate your life. And that is key, ladies and gentlemen. See, the scripture says, without vision, the people perish. See, perish comes from a Hebrew word that means to throw off discipline. And discipline then could be defined as having a set of imposed standards for your own life. The greatest thing you will ever have once you've developed or understand your vision and your purpose, the greatest thing you will ever have in your arsenal to success, and write this down, is self-discipline. No one can give you self-discipline. It's something that you have to do for yourself. Whether you're a teenager in school, whether you're an athlete, whether you're married, whether you're a business owner, whether you're employed at a company, self-discipline is internal. No one can make it happen for you. So if you put everything together, then where the scripture says, without vision, the people perish, another way of putting it is, without vision, the people will have no self-imposed standards for themselves. And as a result, there is no discipline. So you're never going to accomplish what you planned because you don't discipline yourself. Don't wait for your boss to discipline you, because that's not pretty. Don't wait for your parents to discipline you. That's also not pretty. What if you just decided today, I'm going to discipline myself to read that book? I'm going to discipline myself to take that course. I'm going to discipline myself to go to that class. You see, with your vision, you control your behavior. You control your response to what's happening to you and around you. That's what you have control of. You cannot control what other people do to you, what other people say to you or about you. What you can control is how you respond. Now, your purpose will help you to separate the good from the best. And this is where a lot of people get tripped up. They accomplish something good, and after they accomplish this thing that is good, they just stop there. They start to celebrate. And instead of realizing that it's you should move forward, they park at good. Something may be good for you, but it may not be the best for you. Some people, and this may just ruffle some feathers out there. Some people may be good for you for a season, but over time, those relationships, they become toxic to your very existence. You see, there are things you will be offered in life, and sometimes some of them will seem too good to refuse right there and then. But having a clear picture of your purpose and your vision and your destiny will help you to avoid those things, because you know where you're going. You know that their once in a lifetime offer is not right for you. You need to know when to say no. You know, there's a book called How to Say No and Not Be Ashamed, or not feel bad about it. Some people just don't know how to say no. You have to learn to say no, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let other people infringe on your time, infringe on your journey, and derail you. Next thing you know, they're on course to get into where they're going, but you're off course. Now you got to start again. Here's the thing. Any dead fish can float downstream, but it takes a fish with life. It takes a fish with vision and purpose and strength to swim upstream against the current. Now, if you stand strong, think about this for a second. If you stand strong, the currents of life, even though they come and they will try to wash you downstream with the rest of the garbage, you'll resist. You have to develop resistance within you. You have to develop strength within you. Now, have you ever stood by a river and watched what floats downstream? You see dead leaves, you see weeds, you see twigs, you see branches, you even see garbage floating downstream. Now, You have to fight every day. And this is where I want you to pay attention. You have to fight every day against the current of dead people around you that are trying to drown your dreams. You have to fight every day against the current of naysayers who are trying to submerge you and keep you from focusing on your vision. You have to fight, ladies and gentlemen, every day against the current of mediocrity and the constant negativity just to move upstream to cleaner waters. Learn to place high value on your purpose. Learn to place high value on your journey that you're on so you can reach your destination. You see, there are no shortcuts. So the values you develop will cause like-minded people to admire and appreciate you. And here's this thing. In some cases, people will start to imitate you because you're doing something good. You're doing the right thing. They'll duplicate you. And they'll hold you to a higher standard as you hold yourself to a higher standard. In other words, people start respecting you and people start talking good about you. I want to say this one thing. Never give up on something you can't go a day without thinking about. Sometimes that is directly associated with your dream. Never give up on something you can't go a day without thinking about. I want to leave you with this. Deuteronomy 31:6 says, "Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid of them. For the Lord your God, He is with you. He's the one who goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." Ladies and gentlemen, as I close today, like I said every week, it is my desire to encourage you, to inspire yourself to go after your dreams and goals and never give up. This weekend, make it a wonderful weekend. Memorial Day is coming up. We want to respect all the soldiers who have given their lives so that we can be here talking, being free to do what we want to do. And I salute those fallen soldiers and the families of those fallen soldiers and those who have given so much and sacrificed so much so that we can have freedom here in America. Have a wonderful day.